Hi everyone, and welcome to today's session where we're going to have a look at some recent enhancements that we've made to our onboarding module. So with the recent enhancements, we've made some great new features, taking on board all of the feedback from our clients. For those of you that are currently using onboarding or have had a look at onboarding and suggested additional items that can be captured in that area. And today we'll have a look at the functionality and the user experience of those enhancements. So as always, let's get logged into the system first up. Following this, we want to make sure that all of our permissions are correct. So by navigating to the right-hand menu and coming down to user roles, I can just check my onboarding permission that I have in here or create an onboarding permission for potential employees in my business to be able to create onboards. Okay, so looking at the permissions associated with onboarding, we have manage document types in there. So that allows the user to add the document types to the onboard. And we also have manage onboarding settings, which allows me to build or amend templates within my onboard. I also have my view employee onboarding if I don't want anyone to be able to amend any data within onboarding, but then I have create and edit an employee onboard if I'm responsible for creating or editing the onboards that are created. Okay, once all my permissions are in order, it's then a matter of assigning them to the correct employee in the user listing, and they will then begin to use the onboarding module. So the onboarding module is located under employees and then onboarding down the bottom here. If you haven't had or haven't elected to have the onboarding module turned on, you'll not see this selection here. Okay, so if it's something that you are interested in adding, please do log a support ticket and our team can arrange that one for you. So the onboarding dashboard here hasn't changed all that much. You can see the first name, last name, date sent, etc. And by clicking on all of these column headers, they will sort in ascending or descending order. I can click on my onboarding status as well to see which ones are complete or which ones have not been started or in process. Same for my approval status, I can click on those and I can also view any onboards that are currently not completed or approved. Okay, I can also filter by my statuses at the top here and I can search for a particular employee's name if I'm looking for an individual. Where most of our enhancements have been made is under the settings button here. So if you don't have the permission of manage onboarding settings, you then don't have access to this link or toggle here. So once the permission is assigned, this is where you can come into your onboarding template screen and begin to build templates, etc. Okay, so the notifications are quite similar for those that currently use onboarding. Sending a notification to the selected users when an onboard has been complete. So that's when your prospective employee that you've sent your onboard to, once they've completed that, who do you want to notify in your business? So more often than not, that's probably someone in HR or recruitment. And then the same as when the onboarding has been approved from a HR or recruitment perspective, and it's then approved and it creates an employment record within Definitiv. So in that instance, you probably want to notify a payroll employee that they have a new employee. Okay, we then have this new feature of templates down the bottom. So you can create as many templates as you like. And if you are also using our compliance module, you can create compliance templates to send out to your prospective employees as well. So that comes in really handy, especially currently with the issues we're facing with COVID and the vaccination requirements. You can create a compliance template that includes those items within it. To create a new compliance template, you just need to hit add new compliance template down the bottom here. Once you've selected that, this screen will appear. And as you can see, I've added COVID vaccination as a compliance and the National Police Clearance as a compliance. So this Compliance is pulled from your master list of compliance set up under your document types and under compliances within your configuration. If I wanted to add another compliance, I just hit add requirement and it will show me the drop down of compliances within that master list. What's really cool in this area as well is I can also give instructions to my prospective employee on what they need to do with this compliance, okay, or when completing this compliance. So for example, at the top here, I've said, please attach your COVID-19 vaccination certificate. And for your expiry date, please use the date 3 months post your obtained date. Okay, so when my prospective employee comes to uploading their COVID vaccination throughout their onboard, they know exactly what the requirements are there and they're not having to reach out to me to request these things. Okay, so that's how you can set up or create a compliance template, and you can have multiple compliance templates in here as well. Just give them different names. So for example, you might have one for site, you might have one for office-based employees, making sure that you're putting that in the description so it's easy to refer to when you're building your onboard. Okay, we also have to add a document template. Okay, so the documents that you send to your employee when they are completing an onboard, you can create a template for that as well, or multiple templates. So with the previous functionality of onboarding, you could only have one template for every employee, whereas now you can customize it more so to particular groups of employees. So again, using the example of site, they may have different requirements for documents than what admin employees do. To create a new one, I hit add new document template and this screen will appear here. I'm then able to select from my list of documents that is created under my configuration under document types as to the document types I need to add in this onboard. Okay, I can then upload a PDF, which is the document that I want the employee to view. Or if it's something like the employment contract, I know that that changes with every prospective employee. So I'm just putting it in there as a placeholder to remind me to attach something when starting an onboard. Okay, so leave blank to manually add this document when creating the onboard. I can then say whether this document must just be acknowledged, so like the Fair Work statement, or if I want it initialed and signed, being, for example, a contract. Once finished, I can create document and those items are in there for my template. Okay, and then finally, I can add a whole new onboarding template or several of these as well. So the really great enhancement in this area is to do with custom fields. So we took a lot of feedback in terms of the custom fields and understood that a lot of clients wanted employees to be able to fill out the custom fields. Okay, so if we have a look at the onboarding template that we have here, we can see that with custom fields now, do I want to disable it for this template so that it's not visible? Is this admin only where it's something, for example, a remuneration level that I want to fill out as an admin user? Or is this something that I want to capture from the employee when I'm doing the onboard? Okay, so for example, are you of Aboriginal and/or Torres Strait Islander origin? The employee can then select yes or no when they're completing the onboard. Okay, I've got my documents here as well as my compliances. I've added a document template in here, so I can add another document template or add a specific document, and I can add a compliance template or I can add a specific compliance as well. Okay, so many different options within your templates and so many different variations of templates that you can create as well now. So once you have your full list of templates in here, you can then create your onboard. So by navigating back to home here, this will take you back to your dashboard. So with all of these new templates in place, let's have a look at creating a new onboard. So to start, I hit Start New Onboard. Now in this area, the great new enhancement is that we can now rehire an employee that has previously worked from the company. So if I select that I want to rehire an employee using their existing record, I can then search the employee's name here to bring up their prior record. This ensures that we are STP compliant by always keeping the employee under the one employee number. Okay, for today's purposes, I want to create a new employee record, so a whole new onboard. And I would like to do this by using an onboarding template. From here, I can then select the templates that I want to use. So for example, we'll use this onboarding template here. I then hit create onboarding and I can commence my new onboard. All fields that are marked with an asterisk or underlined in yellow must be completed. So putting myself in the position of a HR or recruitment person, I may only know the first name of this employee and the surname of this employee. Okay, I don't know a preferred name. I'm not sure of their hire date because that could be dependent on when they complete this. Not sure their pay calendar or position or any of that information as yet, but I do at a minimum need their personal email address so that I can send through all the onboarding stuff to them and then notified that they need to complete it. Okay, only once I've put all of those items in can I then select next. When I select next, it brings through all of the custom fields that I have on an employee level. Okay, so this is from the template. So in here, I've elected that I want to capture this information from my employee, that an admin user will enter the remuneration level. So I then need to fill in that information there, and that these two are disabled for this, or these three, sorry, are disabled for this particular onboard. Again, once I've filled in all the required information, I can then select next to progress to the next screen. So we've got this time tracker or completion tracker at the top here as well, so that I know where I'm up to and the steps that remain for me to complete this onboard. Okay, so in here are the documents that were from my template as well. So the fair work statement, I can elect to view this document and this will show me what the employee will see. As this is a standard document that doesn't change, I've been able to upload that as a document in my onboard. With a contract, because this changes for every employee, I've got a little yellow paper clip here that says, please ensure that all documents have the corresponding files attached. So it's placed in the template to alert me to the fact that I now need to upload the contract. Okay, so I can hit edit on this one and I can upload a contract in there that I then want to go to the employee. I want this to be initialed and signed, not just acknowledged, and I can hit save changes. Once I've attached all the requirements, my yellow paperclip and my warning message then disappears. Okay, and I can then hit the next button there. So within this onboarding template, I don't have any compliances selected. So that doesn't mean that I can't amend that as I'm going through the particular onboard. So in this example, I'll choose to add a compliance template for this particular employee. And I can then select from the templates that I've previously created, or I can just add a particular compliance from that master list here as well. Once I've selected what I needed, I can hit apply and it will show me all of those compliances that are required within this template. So for this particular onboard, I want to send them the COVID vaccination and the National Police Clearance compliance. Again, I can add another one or leave it as is and continue on. And that's the same with your documents as well. If you want to add additional documents outside the letter of offer or the fair work statement, they can be added in at any point, even if they're not part of the original template. Once I've filled all the criteria in this page, I can then select next, and it brings me through to review my onboard. So one of the great enhancements in this area is the additional information. So this comes in really handy when you're onboarding contractors, or you now have the ability to onboard contractors. Okay, if I'm onboarding a contractor and they're not actually going to be paid through Definitiv, but I want to capture their time and attendance, I don't need to collect their tax file number, so I can remove that. I don't need super details, so I can remove that. And I also don't need bank details. Okay, so it then won't add those items in when the prospective employee is completing the onboard. Once I'm happy with all the information I have put into this onboarding, I can then confirm and send it to the employee. Okay, it's at this point that everything that I've completed in the template goes through to the employee, and they are then notified to complete the onboard. The employee will get this email here, or the prospective employee, and it will have your company's branding at the top there. Welcome and their name. Please commence the onboarding process by clicking the button below. During onboarding, we'll collect important information from you in order to transition into our payroll and HR systems. If you have any questions throughout the onboard, please don't hesitate to get in touch. Okay, so we can then hit get started, and this is from the prospective employees view here. Okay, so we're seeing what the prospective employee would see. Okay, before you get started in your new role, there's a few things that we need to get you set up in our system. We need you to review the documents, provide your tax file number, super details, bank account, personal information, and any additional information. We've said that the steps above in your onboarding should only take approximately 15 minutes to complete, and your progress will be saved as you progress through. Okay, so if I get to, for example, superannuation details and I don't have them at hand, I can close out of these screens and it will automatically save. I can then click on my link again and it will take me back through to where I had last left off to complete my final steps. We then hit get started. So the first thing is that the employee needs to do is review the important documents. By clicking on contract here, it will then bring up the employment contract for the employee to read through. Okay, once they've read through all the detail, they can continue to sign and accept, or they can decline the offer, meaning they don't need to do anything further within the onboard. The full name and initials will automatically be pre-filled, so the employee just needs to put a signature in that area. If they're not happy with the signature, they can clear it and redo it, and then hit sign and accept. Once a document's completed, it will come up with a green tick next to it saying it's ready to go. The next one being the Fair Work Statement. The prospective employee can review this one, and unlike the contract, we just need to acknowledge this particular one. Only once I've completed all the documents for review and either acknowledged or initialed and signed, I can then hit next step. Okay, so the next step is my compliances. So when gathering compliances, the prospective employee will need PDFs of these documents. They will also need to enter the date that they obtained the particular compliance and the date of expiry. Okay, they will also see those instructions that you placed in here as well, as a bit of a hint as to what to do in that area. Once they've filled out those items, they then need to attach their documents. So we can pop those ones in here. Only once I've completed all required compliances, I can then hit next step. Okay, this then moves into my tax file number, or I can elect that I don't have a tax file number, and if I don't have, I made special arrangements for those. Once that's completed, I hit next step. I can select, am I Australian resident for tax purposes? Do I want to claim the tax-free threshold, yes or no? Do I have a help, vet, financial supplement, etc. loan, yes or no? And do I want to claim a Medicare levy variation? Once I've filled in all those details, again, I just need to sign this as it's my formal tax file declaration that will go through to the ATO from Definitiv, and I hit sign and accept. I can then move along to my next steps. There is also a new feature in the superannuation screen here. I can choose Sun Super, being the company default. I can choose my own super fund, or I can use a stapled super fund. Okay, so by selecting use a stapled super fund, once I've completed the onboard, an admin of the company then needs to search that stapled super fund to add the correct details in there. Once I've completed, I can then hit next step. I then fill in my bank details. Once the bank detail or the BSB is known, it will show the bank's logo. If the BSB is not known, it does not show the bank logo, but it doesn't mean that it's 100% incorrect either. Okay, if it's a new BSB, it might not be recognized by the system as yet. So it's just a prompt for you to check that information. Okay, I can then enter my account number, my account name, okay, and the reference. Once that information is entered, I can hit next. And again, I've got my progression bar along the top here to let me know how my onboarding is progressing. I can then complete the details that the HR or recruitment person perhaps were not privy to at the time of completing the onboard. So again, wherever there's an asterisk or a yellow underline, I need to fill in this information. Okay, so I can go through and fill in this information, my emergency contact, their relationship to me, and a contact phone number for them. With my home address, I can start typing an address which it will look to at Google Maps, or I can now select to enter it manually. So with Google Maps, we know that they don't like apartment numbers or unit numbers, etc. So I can now select or type that in manually. I've got my email address down the bottom here, and then I just need to put in my best contact phone number, and once they're all completed, I can hit next step. The next step is those custom fields that I've chosen to obtain from the employee. So I asked for my prospective employees to complete this question here, and they can then say yes or no. Okay, I can then submit, and that one's all done. So congratulations, I've completed my onboarding with Definitiv. We're really excited to have you on board. Once your onboarding data has been approved, you'll receive an email with instructions on how to set up your account. Okay, so that's the link that's sent to employees to enter their password and get them logging into the system. So once the onboarding has been complete, whoever I set up as my notifications, so looking at that payroll person that I wanted to be notified when the onboard was complete, they will get that message, and they then know that they need to fill in that required information. Okay, so with that, I can then pull up the onboard that I completed, being this one here, and I can view that particular information. So I'm now reviewing this onboard. I can review the employee details, the custom fields that the employee has selected, any documents, but when it comes to compliances, I need to verify these. Okay, so an employee can add in any particular compliance that they want, but I then need to verify this information. When reviewing the compliance, I choose to view the attachments to then verify that this information is correct and it's the compliance that I'm expecting to see. I hit verify compliance, and that one's then verified. I then need to do the same for any other compliances to make sure that they're all correct. I can view the tax file declaration information, but I'm unable to make any changes. Okay, so it's up to the employee. If they've selected something incorrectly in this area, they need to then reach out to the payroll administrator to have it updated. Superannuation information, there's nothing in here. They've elected to use a stapled super fund, which means when I'm setting up the employee, I can search for their stapled super fund. Banking information, again, I'm able to review the information in here, but not actually make any changes. Once I'm happy with all of the information that I've reviewed, I can then hit approve and confirm that I'm approving this on board, and that then creates my employee within Definitiv. To search for this employee, I can go to employees and then team listing and look for the employee's first name or surname. Any information that was not captured within the onboarding process, I can then come in and fill in this information. So for example, I can assign a pay calendar. Now that that is known, I can then work through all of the tabs on the left-hand side to add in their pay policy, any leave policies or additions and deductions, select their primary location, department, project, and role, as well as assign a work schedule. Okay, if you're one of our outsourced clients, by sending through an email to let them know all of those additional costing pieces and pay policy items, they can then complete the setup of your employee. The great thing about onboarding is as soon as that onboard has been approved, the employee is given an employee number, which if you're using time clock or even personal time clock, the employee can begin to clock on and off without the completion of the costing pieces. Okay, so just in summary, the new enhancements and features that we've taken on board from clients and built into the product is being able to send compliances in with your onboarding, to be able to create as many templates as you like for all the different areas of your business, to have compliance templates, document templates, and onboarding templates as well. And also to be able to start a new onboard and understand your progression, have the employee be able to understand their progression as well, but also fill in any particular custom fields and upload documents to do with the compliances, etc., and have them verified before they become an employee in the system. Okay, also the additional settings of being able to remove the tax file information, the bank details, and the super if you're onboarding contractors. Okay, and also the ability to view those compliance documents, download them and verify them before the employee's onboarded, and having all those PDFs within Definitiv when the employee commences work rather than having to upload them later or hold them in a secondary system. Okay, so we hope you enjoyed this session. If you don't have onboarding currently, please reach out to the support team or through to Proactive to have this turned on. Thanks very much for your time, guys. Enjoy.